The Leadership in Law podcast is powered by Law Marketing Zone. Transform your firm's digital presence with expert marketing solutions tailored exclusively for attorneys at lawmarketingzone.com.
Welcome to the Leadership in Law podcast with host Marilyn Jenkins. Cut through the noise, get actionable insights and inspiring stories delivered straight to your ears. Your ultimate podcast for navigating the ever-changing world of law firm ownership. In each episode, we dive deep into the critical topics that matter most to you, from unlocking explosive growth to building a thriving team. We connect you with successful firm leaders and industry experts who share their proven strategies and hard-won wisdom. So, whether you're a seasoned leader or just starting your journey as a law firm owner, the Leadership in Law podcast is here to equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to build a successful and fulfilling legal practice.
Welcome to another episode of the Leadership in Law podcast. I'm your host, Marilyn Jenkins. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Emilia Coto, to the show today. Emilia is the dual licensed immigration attorney in the U.S. and Canada and founder of Sisu Legal, where she helps families live and work freely across borders. Through her work in law and podcasting, her heart is to encourage mothers to reimagine what's possible, to pursue purpose, presence, and freedom in both family and career. She is the host of Little Hands, Big Plans, a podcast where she shares conversations about how motherhood can be a season women choose to create freedom through entrepreneurship. She interviews women about how their career shifted after they became mothers. I'm excited to have you here, Emilia. Welcome.
Thank you, Marilyn. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Tell us a bit about your leadership journey.
Yes. So I went to law school in Canada. My family immigrated to Canada when I was in grade 4. So I have a lot of memories of that first immigration journey, and then grew up in Canada, went to law school in Canada, but in Windsor, which is right across the border from Michigan. And so once I was in law school, I met my husband, who's American, and then immigrated as an adult. So I have lots of memories and experiences with that. And so then when I was thinking about what kind of law I wanted to practice, I started my legal journey at a full service firm. It is a very established firm in the Windsor area. I got to try various different practice areas, and they didn't do immigration, but I had done immigration a little bit through the legal clinic when I was in school. And then I also had, because I'm an immigrant, had a strong connection to immigrant community. So had done some while I was at the firm, even though it wasn't a big practice area. So started my firm in immigration and have focused on immigration ever since. And my firm was very different before kids and after kids. And I had to change a lot of things in my business to practice now how I practice. And because I want to be a really present parent, and I still want to continue growing my firm and having a firm that provides really high quality work for clients. So a lot of my journey over the last 5 years has been in making shifts to allow that to happen.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting starting with a full service law firm. You get to experience different practice areas and then choose the one that really resonates with you.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I really enjoyed trying different things because by the time I was ready to focus on one thing, I didn't feel that I was missing out.
Fantastic. I love that. So let's talk about the motherhood thing. Many women feel like motherhood just changed their identity, right? How do you becoming a mother reshape the way you see your purpose in your work?
Yes, I think we all come to motherhood with preconceived ideas of what we think it's going to be and how it's going to impact our career. And for me, it was something that I was very scared to step into because I had heard, you hear a lot through law school and when you're in school, early career, about how motherhood comes with the career penalty. And I had worked really hard to advance my career. And now I didn't know how that was going to have an impact. And one of the best advice that I got when I was going through that process is that I had no idea what I was stepping into and how little I was going to worry about that. And it's not that I don't care about my career, I still do very much, but it just completely shifts your perspective once you do become a mother. Once I became a mother, I realized how important time freedom was for me.
Mhm.
And I also was able to connect so much more deeply with my clients and their desire to pursue opportunities for their kids. It's something that I understood before, but until you really are a parent, I think you can connect with that on a much deeper level.
I see. Okay. And why do you believe entrepreneurship can be a pathway to freedom from others?
Yes, I think because you are in full control over the work that you do, the clients you work with, and how you work with clients. And particularly as a lawyer, I believe that if you have your own firm, you're really going to be able to shape your firm around your family, which if you are employed in a firm, that there's somebody else that's the visionary of that firm. And there's a lot of really great firms that provide a lot of really good opportunities for mothers. And for some people, it is the right choice to not have to think about the business side of things all the time. But I think it, for some people, it provides a really great opportunity to have full control over your life's design and your family culture, your family, how you want to structure that. And I just know for me personally, the kind of flexibility that I need and want is not going to be found in employment. And I think it would have to be a unicorn to find
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, like the struggle to get to partner, you've got to put in so many hours. It's just crazy.
Yes.
Fantastic. And so what does building a freedom-filled life look like in your own journey?
Yeah, so for me, one of the ways that I think I've been able to do that is by billing in flat fees, value-based billing,
Okay.
so that the amount of money that I make is not tied to me trading hours for money.
Okay.
And so I set a price based on the outcome that the client wants and the experience that they want to have while pursuing that outcome. And then, so for me, to answer your question, I want to be able to have as much time freedom as possible. And I want to be able to decide when I work and how I work. Our family is planning to homeschool our kids, which I think is very different. A lot of people have the traditional hours during their day that they have without their children. And so for me, that means I have to have maximum flexibility of, okay, if I'm coordinating their schedule, when can I do things? When are they doing things? With my husband, he works from home too. So we want the ability to fully control when we work and also where, because we love traveling. We have families in multiple countries and we want to be able to serve people, work with people from anywhere. And so that's another piece of the freedom for me.
And with your practice area with immigration, you can work from anywhere.
Yeah, and our clients are often all over the world, and to be able to connect with the different cultures is important for me personally, but also for the firm.
I love that. I love that. So looking back, what is the one belief about success or motherhood that you had to unlearn in order to build the life that you have now? Hey, lawyers, are you losing cases to firms online that aren't even better attorneys than you? They're just better at marketing. Most law firms are nearly invisible online. If you're not showing up in the Google Map pack, if your ads aren't converting, or if you're constantly waiting on referrals, you're leaving money on the table. At Law Marketing Zone, we've helped clients go from 0 to over 20 cases a month. And we've put our top strategies into a quick, free checklist, the Law Firm Marketing Fix. 10 ways to stop losing clients online. Download it right now for free. You'll discover the biggest mistakes most firms are making and how to fix them fast. Then, if you're ready, book a free strategy call and we'll walk through the gaps in your current marketing. Don't wait for referrals. Start attracting your ideal clients today. Click to get the checklist now.
I think the number one thing was that motherhood was going to be this negative for my career. And I think that I am much happier and much more fulfilled in every sense after becoming a mother. So now that I am a mom, the thing that it changed the most is it just gave me a perspective on life that I didn't have. And the joy that it brings, I think, translates into all areas of my life, career and firm included.
Fantastic. And that's a good way of looking at it, is seeing it is so much different when you have the experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to moms who feel like they're called to start something new, but they're afraid to take the leap?
For me, the fear was in obtaining clients and financial. I really enjoyed the stability that came with knowing that I'm going to get a paycheck and knowing that I didn't have to worry about the next client coming in. And for many moms that I have talked to, that's the number one fear of, how am I going to get clients? How am I going to make sure that I can still have the finances that I need to provide the financial support to my family? And so the mental exercise that I did that really helped me get over that fear was to see how few clients I would need to serve in order to have the financial stability that I wanted. And the upside too, that when you are on your own, you're not necessarily capped, right, with income. You can design services and you can provide people with the services that they want and need. And you're not going to necessarily be capped. But on the other hand, if you're wanting a little more time freedom, you need to take some time off for family, you can also cut back. And there's a lot more leeway to plan. So if you're thinking about what it is that you want to make, for example, when you're starting something new, just think about what the numbers are. Law, thankfully, does not have to have a huge overhead for as a startup business like other industries do. So that's a benefit. And then from there, if you start to think about, okay, how many clients you need, you might be surprised by how few clients you need in order to get started. And then it all snowballs from there. If you do good work for people, they're going to refer other clients to you. And you also start figuring out with marketing what works and what doesn't.
And asking for referrals, of course, as well. But I love that, because if you know your numbers, you can easily figure out. And that's one of the things about entrepreneurs. A lot of them don't know their numbers. And that's a simple exercise to get more comfortable with where you are and where you want to go.
Yes.
Fantastic. What are some of the biggest mind shifts obviously is knowing your numbers, knowing what you need to be able to move forward. And do you help women come up with an idea, or you talk with them about what their interests are and then use that to come up with an idea? So somebody wants to be an entrepreneur, do they always know what they want to do?
I think that for some people, they don't know. When I speak to lawyer moms, it's just figuring out practice area, going to work with their outside goals outside of the firm, what their experiences in. But I think when I'm speaking with moms that are outside of the legal field, they often have not been an entrepreneur before motherhood. And I think the brainstorming that comes with there is what things you're good at, what your skills are, and what is something that you can provide for other people that they're willing to pay you for. I always like that. There's that Japanese they use for their purpose of living called ikigai. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but I always like to think of it in that framework of, okay, what do you enjoy doing? What are you good at doing? What can people pay you? And if you're not familiar with it, there's this Venn diagram where all of the circles connect.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you a good idea of what's something that you can pursue.
Okay, that's great. Yes, I know, I'm familiar with that, and it makes a lot of sense. Just find something you enjoy that people will pay you for. How can women create businesses that serve their families instead of the other way around?
The main thing I think is intentionality, because with any business, law included, if you're not intentional, it can suck you in and it can many people whose lives are built around their business and around their work instead of the other way around. And it takes a lot of intentional decisions, sometimes sacrifices and difficult choices that you have to make along the way. And it depends on what someone's priority is. Priority to design their life around how they want their life to look like, or is it going to be making the most amount of money? Sometimes they're not going to be the same path. And so the main thing is sometimes people skip creating a vision for their business, for their life. And if you skip that, then someone else is going to do it for you, whether it be your clients, your circumstances, anything else. So you have to be intentional and you define your priorities and you make the tough decisions based on that. Because if you just go along every day, even when it comes to daily planning, if you are not intentional about planning, it can be so easy to, oh, this email came in and they want me to do this, and you just run around the whole day doing what everyone else thinks you should be doing as opposed to what fits within your life vision.
Yeah. And again, I think knowing your numbers and having that intention so you don't get lost in that email and checking your email 5 times an hour instead of just finishing something up. It makes a big difference to have that day planned out.
Yeah.
So how do you balance ambition with presence, especially when both your business and your family need you at the same time?
Yeah. I think for me, the main thing is once I decided that the vision for the business and the family had to align, I set specific boundaries around my time. So when I'm working and the kids they have childcare, they have other things that they are doing, and I'm not trying to multitask. When I was trying to multitask, that was the worst for me because I can't be doing multiple things at the same time and doing them well. So now I have set times when I'm working and I'm focused on that. When I'm with the kids, I want to be with the kids. I don't want to have to be answering calls, answering emails. I'm just there and I'm present. And so that way, if I block off my time, then I know what I'm supposed to be doing at that time and I'm focused there. And that has been the biggest difference, I think, from when I was at the beginning first starting to now, is having those different time frames. It's so hard, like when kids get sick and things that are unpredictable, but it at least helps.
I think everybody's going to have those unpredictable things, but yeah, time blocking is a great tool.
Yeah.
I understand and how old are your children?
So my children are one, almost 2, and 3. So they're at their peak fun stage.
So what role does community play for mothers who are building businesses, and how can they find support if they don't already have it?
Yes, I think the community is, when I think about the main thing that has made a difference with my firm, had been to have being a part of solid communities of other entrepreneurs in the legal field, to not have to learn everything from scratch. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm learning from people that are ahead of me. I'm trying to help people that are just starting. And that has been, I think community is crucial for just growth and learning, and just on a personal enjoyment level. If you have a good community, you're going to be happier. People that live longer are shown to have good communities too. So it's good from, I think, an all around human perspective. And with mothers, sometimes if your business if there's not a defined community for that industry, it can be more lonely. So I think building a local community of other entrepreneurs that can support you is great. And then, yeah, that's something that I've actually been really thinking about starting locally, because I have a lot of national connections through my legal industry groups, but I'm really craving that in-person connection and growth with even people outside of the legal industry.
True. I know there's a lot of like Facebook groups for women entrepreneurs and that sort of thing that work really well for building networks. But I think you're right. Doing something locally where you can get together with people. It's so much different to be able to have those personal, in-person conversations, and especially in a group meeting, there's lots of what do you call it? The water fountain conversations. So water cooler conversations. You can get to know other people's opinion and ideas that you would have never thought of. It's so creative to have a group of people that you can pull from. So thinking about your podcast, what lessons have you learned from interviewing other mothers who've defined what success looks like?
The main lesson that I've learned is how many different configurations there are in terms of businesses and ways of designing a fulfilling life and business. All of the women that I have interviewed have their own journeys of how they've designed their business, how they've designed how that has changed with motherhood. But the biggest lesson that I've learned is so inspiring. It's been so inspiring to me to be able to see all of the opportunities and all of the different types of businesses. Like I've interviewed everyone from a doctor that has a direct primary care practice to someone that started writing a blog during their kids' nap times and now has millions of readers every month. And so the possibilities are endless. And I think that has been really inspiring for me to not limit myself to what I think is possible, because these conversations have shown me how much is possible and all of the different possibilities, which is exactly what I was hoping to do with the podcast.
Interesting. I think valuable blogging is lost with TikTok and the Instagram and that sort of thing, because there's so much value that can be put into blogging. That's great.
Yeah.
And do it when the kids are asleep. That's great. That's great.
And the connection too, right? Once you're used to someone's writing, I think that's the part that now with AI, that is not going to be able to reconnect in the same way when you find a writer that you like and you like their style and with the content that they put out, it can be very unique to that person.
True. Yeah, because there's so much AI content now, and I think that's only going to grow.
Yeah.
And as an immigration lawyer, what parallels do you see between helping families build new lives and your passion for helping mothers design purposeful ones?
Yeah, they often interconnect. In one of the ways, as an example, that they connect is that I help mothers that are business owners that want to expand into either the US or Canada. And so a lot of the times I am working with business owners that are not in the legal field, but that are looking to expand their business into either Canada or the US. So that's one of my favorite types of files that I get to do, because it intersects with all of the things that I'm interested in. And then in immigration in general, there's that startup phase when you're moving and you have to start a new life, start a new community. So that's another way that my work intersects.
Fantastic. Now, if say someone's listening and that's a mom that's in a traditional job, she really wants to get out of that, what would be the first step that you would suggest that she take to move into that direction?
So I think the most important thing when you're looking to start a business is the client acquisition piece. And because if you could be the best lawyer in the world, and if you don't have clients, you can't exercise that. So the main thing is going to be figuring out how you get clients, getting the right team of people that can help you get clients. At the beginning, it's the hardest. And then once you get started, it can become easier. But I think the number one thing is figuring out who you want to serve and how you're going to connect with those people.
I love that. Again, I'll come back to planning and just getting your ducks in a row to start with. And you're right, it's that revenue stream that really is what causes the biggest stress. But if you sit back and get a plan and then work your plan, I think that makes a lot of difference. Now, thinking about that, if they're in a traditional role, wanting to do entrepreneurship, do you suggest like doing all the planning while you're still working and getting everything ready instead of just quitting your job and jumping into it?
That's an interesting question. I think I've been on both sides of this, because I have been in a job and wanting to start my own firm. And I've also been where someone has been with me and started their own thing. So I think I have some opinions on that. I think integrity is number one because it's always good. It's always going to be good to leave with integrity and to have a reputation of being someone that acts in integrity. And so I think that's number one. So based on that filter, the actions that you take. So for example, when I left the firm, I wanted it to be, okay, these are their clients and I want to continue having a relationship with them. If I'm being paid to work on a full-time basis on the firm, that's what I'm doing. So that's how I felt was the right way to do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with planning something that you're going to be doing in the future, but I think that applicants should be mindful about the resources that you're using should be your own, doing it in a way where it's a collaborative as opposed to underhanded or trying to basically step on someone else's shoulders to achieve something. I think that's short-sighted in the short term because in the long run, it's better to relationships are more valuable and the short-term advantage that you're going to get is not going to be worth it in the future.
I agree. I think you don't want to burn a bridge, but if you are looking at building something new, just start preparing, but not that it conflicts. Yeah, I love that. And again, you start with integrity, then it's going to continue to grow in integrity. Absolutely great points. I know my listeners are going to want to reach out to you and connect with you, especially moms might want to chat a little bit more. Where can they connect with you and learn more about you?
Yes, I'm the most active on LinkedIn, and I'm sure we can put a link in the show notes. And then my firm is Sisu Legal, and that I'm available through there. There's a contact page. So if there's any moms that want to reach out about starting their own thing, I'm always happy to chat about that.
Fantastic. We'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes. And this has been a really good conversation. I appreciate your time of being here today.
Thank you, Marilyn. Likewise.
Thanks for joining me today for this episode. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to do two things. First, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you find value here, I'd love it if you would rate it and review it. That really does make a difference in helping other people to discover this podcast. Second, you can connect with me on LinkedIn to keep up with what I'm currently learning and thinking about. And if you're ready to take the next step with a digital strategist to help you grow your law firm, I'd be honored to help you. Just go to lawmarketingzone.com to book a call with me. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. Until then, as always, thanks for listening to Leadership in Law Podcast, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Leadership in Law Podcast. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of law firm owners out there facing similar challenges and striving for the same success. Head over to our website at lawmarketingzone.com. From there, connect with other listeners, access valuable resources, and stay up to date on the latest episodes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep leading with vision and keep growing your firm.